I just wanted to know, you with me, I'm South African, you from this place, or I'm from this place, you from that place. Like, how do you think your parents would respond to this?
Now on the subject of, settling down, being in a relationship, growing in that type of way. What does that even what does that even look like? I mean, there are a number of ways in which that can go. I've heard mostly, when you look at these shows like 90 Day Fiancé, where people are meeting online, and then either one decides they're gonna move from their native country to other person's country in order to be together. But I've also heard of marriages where in the US, for example, like the wife can be in Washington but the husband is in Chicago or something, and they have marriages that work like that.
Chicago,
so I think even the concept of marriage these days, it's very interesting, because it's not what it used to be. I have an aunt who is
it's not what it used to be
in Kenya with her kids, and her husband is in China.
I think for a lot of African families, I do want to say that that's a very prominent thing, because even if you think about it, like, I'm just going to speak on like South Africa, for example, during the apartheid times, like way back, you'd have the men moving to, the city of gold in Gauteng, working in the mines, and the moms are living maybe, whether it's in the Eastern Cape or, certain outside of the city in the rural parts, and the father only comes back on Christmas, he's not always there. Or I remember when I was in university, and sometimes I would interact with some, African men who are doing their PhDs, some coming from maybe Zimbabwe, others coming from Nigeria, different parts of the African continent. And these people are married, and their wives are at home taking care of their kids in their native countries while they are here studying further. And they sometimes don't go home for a year or even 2 years until they've accomplished their studies. So I think it's a very prominent thing within the African cultures where relationships are still held together, or the marriage, I mean, I don't know as kids or if as a child, how the dynamics of that relationship usually works out, but you would see that, mom and dad are still together, everybody knows what's happening, but dad isn't here. And it's like, today, I really can't imagine raising kids for a full year alone and my husband's in another country. Oh my god. Yeah, these are things that are now happening, and
it is a lot of these
long
things
distances
are
so
taking
forth.
place. So in a way, that's also a different way in which relationships have adapted, just in terms of the way things are going. Because I think these days as well, it is a situation of women are not as reliant on their husbands as in previous generations. Because we have more of an opportunity as far as work is concerned, as far as us being able to, also bring in a financial aspect to the household income. So as a result, for us, it's not as simple as like, oh, okay, like I'm just gonna get up and like leave wherever my husband goes. I mean, some do that, and that's totally fine. Me personally, I would actually prefer to be within the same space as my spouse. I think that's just a totally different dynamic, but at the same time, I mean, long distance relationships are something that is also very it's become increasingly common, because I also have another aunt. She herself, I mean, yes, she met her now husband online, yes, but for the longest time they had a long distance relationship where he was not within the continent, but they found a way to make it work, and and I think that sometimes it really just does come down to our ability to be adaptable as far as these things go. But now there's a question that I actually want to bring up to you. And I think it's partly because it's something that I've recently been going through myself, without actually giving too much information away about it. But when you decide that you want to, spend the rest of your life with somebody, in many ways, there are obviously a number of factors that come into play. But when do you think is the opportune time to have conversations as far as introducing the family into the space? And the reason why I'm asking this is because I think a lot of the time, this is something that I've had to learn recently as well, that a lot of the time, you can be in a relationship with somebody and it's amazing and it's great, and you guys work well on paper and it's all good and well. But sometimes, my mom has spoken about this often before, and I've also heard about it from other aunts, where it can literally become a situation of the thing that is impeding you guys from going forward is parents. But how do you even go into a relationship with somebody and address that aspect? As far as, how do we now talk about, okay, cool, but would your parents be cool with you, you dating somebody who's from here or from there? Or how, isn't that a very, very serious thing to bring up? How early on do you think that you would bring that up, as far as if you're dating somebody with the intention to be with them in the long haul?
In the long run. Oh, Jerry, this is a very serious question, hey? It's a very serious question, and I'm feeling anxious because, I'm also in a relationship where we are both from different countries, different cultures, and I funny. I've never thought that maybe my boyfriend's family wouldn't want to like me, because it's like, he likes me, so what's good, but then I think maybe I'm viewing it because I'm an African, he's an African, I'm black, he's black. But I think that's also scary, and I've heard of cases where the family wouldn't want you because, oh, she's South African, or maybe you're both South African but you're Xhosa and he's Tswana. No, we don't want her. And I realize now that we only think about these things, or at least for me, if I was dating a person that's not my race. For example, I'm in Korea. If I was dating a Korean guy and I saw that this relationship is starting to become something serious, I would then ask him, like, dude, does your family know about this? Would they be okay with us? You know what I mean? Or if it was a white guy, or I don't know, a different race from me. But I think that just because I'm black, he's black, we're both African, I somewhat assume that maybe it's going to be fine because he's fine. But I do know that there are some, okay, let me not go into that. But I think that honestly, it's a conversation that I think should be had the moment that you two are really planning, for like a future. You can see that both of your plans, or the things that you want to do, are they in unison, you know what I mean? So sometimes, for example, right now, my mom knows that I have a boyfriend. She knows his name, she knows where he's from, and that's about it. And I felt like, okay, me and this guy have been doing our thing for a while now. I'm not gonna hide him. I like him and I'm comfortable. But his parents don't know that I exist, right? And I don't feel weird about it, because I feel like we're not at the point where we can formally, like, my mom knows about him, but she's never met him or formally, you know what I mean? Right. And I think that if my mom hadn't asked about it, I probably would have not volunteered. So I think each and every individual gets to a point where when they are ready, they can start telling their family about this. So I think that, for example, when I have to leave this country, my boyfriend and I have to have a conversation maybe earlier than that to talk about the future of this relationship. I mean, right now it's fairly new and we're taking it easy, and we both like enjoy each other's space and we're learning a lot about each other, and I believe we really care about each other. But I don't think we are at the point where now we can start talking about marriage and introducing families and making it so official, because it's still anything can happen. I don't feel like it's that solid that we know about the future. But I think maybe after a year or so, we might have to start talking like, okay, it's been this long, what are we doing? Like, when I think sometimes you know when it's time, without like dragging this, but sometimes you know when it's time, when you both feel like, okay, because even when we officially started dating, it just became a natural thing that happened. So I think that conversation will also come with the responsibility of what has to happen next in our relationship. You know what I mean? Right now, we're not in that place. So I think maybe when things start to get serious and we're really making plans, it's going to come up. Because, yeah, I mean, we're in the same country right now, so we don't really have that pressure or we need to make moves. We need to, you know what I mean? Like, it's still nice, you know? So I think definitely that conversation needs to come up based on, you know, the move, where you both are at in the relationship, you know. I think those two need to correspond, because if one person is not seeing this relationship as something that's going forward and you're not talking about it, it would be weird to maybe randomly say, hey, come and meet my family, we're getting married, but the relationship is not there yet. So I think it's tricky, but I feel like, though, because it's also like a casual thing, you can also just ask your partner, like, dude, do you think that your family will be okay with us? It doesn't have to be 5-6 months into the relationship. It could be early dating stages where you're just like, I just wanted to know you're with me, I'm South African, you from this place, or I'm from this place, you're from that place. Like, how do you think your parents would respond to this? And I think that's something that I never thought about, and actually you're making me aware of it right now.
I think it's also important, especially if we get, obviously as we get older, we start to date with intention, I think, or I'd like to think that, at least like for me, I know it's like I'm dating with intention. If you're telling me we'll see where it goes, you can see where you go. Me, I'm not part of that. Sorry. We are past
you're
that.
not gonna be. Are you not seeing where things go?
Past
right.
That thing of, let's see where it goes. What is your intention? You know, the plan. Like, what is your plan?
See where things go. Yeah. Sure.
But I just felt like that was something that I was like encountering, or had been encountering recently, and it wasn't something that I thought about. So that's why I figured, like, okay, like, let me just bring it up to you just to see as well, because I don't think it's something that we all think about. We as you said, we would only you know, really seriously think about that aspect. I think for the most part, I can't speak for everybody, but for the most part, I'd like to think that some of us only think about that when we're dating outside of our race, but we don't actually think that, that might also apply within the same race, because us as Black people, we are a beautiful race, but we're also very complicated, we're also very diverse, and we have a number of
tribalism, nationalism,
backgrounds. Although we are similar in some ways, we are also very different. When you decide that you want to go in a certain direction,
different
with somebody, then it's not just about the two of you, even though it is primarily, but I mean, it's also about the blending of two families. So it's important to get those things down, because at least once you sort those things out, then okay, if you guys decide as your nucleus that, okay, I'm gonna be staying here and working in SA, and then you can go and work in the US, and then I'll join you later, or this or that, or however people do that. International love, because that seems to be the way we're doing things.
The plan.
International love.
Things
and
now.
All the changes, the technological changes,
right?
Aspects, you know. But yes, Amandizi, this has been a beautiful conversation. And yes, guys, I think that brings it to the end for this particular video. But thank you so much for joining us. If you like this video, please go ahead, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to engage with us, please do leave a comment, or also chat to us on Instagram. You can drop us a DM at Babes I've Been There. And you can also send us, drop us an email as well, because Amanda and I have started a new initiative where if you guys have any things that you would like to chat about, or perhaps if you wanted advice on certain things and you wanted to bring it to the table, then definitely drop us an email, babesivebeenthere@gmail.com. And then, in the next video, we may be giving you a shout out, because the whole purpose is really just to engage with you guys more. Amanda and I really, really want to be able to push that forward. So definitely do the things that need to be done. And Amanda, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I'm good.